Warning: viewer discretion is advised. Hi friends, welcome to Meals to Unalive For, where we talk about a true crime case and make a death row meal from scratch. I'm your host Jody Breton, and if you enjoy this episode, please like and subscribe. One of the things that I enjoy about covering death row cases is that everything is laid out on the table usually. There's usually not a whole lot of questions to be asked, but this is a case where I definitely had a lot more questions than answers by the end, which of course drove me crazy. So let me start telling you about it. Today's episode is on Ignacio Alberto Ortiz, and he was born December 21st, 1941. And while I don't know where he was born, our story takes place in Pima County, Arizona. There's very little known about Ignacio. I couldn't find anything about his early life, but I still really wanted to tell you guys about this story because I found it interesting. So just bear with me. Ignacio did have a wife named Mary, but again, I couldn't find her maiden name or when they got married or how they met. We just know that her name was Mary. Now, Mary and Ignacio were the godparents of 3-year-old Charlie McCormick. The McCormick family consisted of married couple Manuelita and Charles, and their 3 children, Patricia, who is 9, Bernice at 8 years old, and Charlie at 3. We know that Charles and Manuelita were having marital difficulties in 1977 and 1978. They had separated. Charles had moved out of the home. Manuelita was really considering a divorce during this time from Charles, but she did not file. While they were separated, Ignacio visited often, helping Manuelita and the children, and eventually this would turn into a love affair. But eventually, Manuelita and Charles would reconcile and Charles moved back into the house. Ignacio would still continue to visit Manuelita after Charles moved back in, but when Charles wasn't home, so after he would leave for work or, be visiting with other friends or family. Ignacio drove a white pickup truck with a camper shell, which a neighbor saw on several occasions parked in the alley behind the McCormick home. Manuelita started to discourage these visits and eventually told him not to visit or call anymore. These events built to a climax on the evening of December 21st, 1978. According to the testimony of Bernice and Patricia McCormick, the children went to bed that night in Patricia's bedroom around 9 p.m. Charles McCormick Jr. testified that he left for work at about 10 p.m., which was Manuelita's husband. A neighbor said that she saw Ignacio's truck in the alley at 11 p.m. During the night, baby Charles woke up and asked Bernice for a glass of water. Bernice testified that when she went to get a glass of water from the kitchen, she saw, quote-unquote, Nacho, the nickname by which Ignacio was known for, and her mother on the living room floor. Her mother appeared to be sleeping, and Ignacio had his hands around her mother's neck. Bernice returned to the bedroom and woke Patricia. Soon after, Ignacio entered the bedroom and told the children that he was going to call an ambulance for their mother. He left the room and the children played with some clay. An ambulance never arrived, but Ignacio returned and told Patricia that her mom wanted to see her. So Patricia went to the living room, where Ignacio grabbed her from behind and stabbed her in the chest with a knife. Patricia was screaming and ran into her mother's bedroom and collapsed on the bed. When Bernice heard the screams, she ran to her mother's bedroom to investigate. Ignacio also grabbed her from behind and used the knife to stab her in the chest. Bernice ran back to Patricia's bedroom where baby Charlie was still playing. Patricia testified that sometime during these events she thought her mother plea, "Please don't hurt baby Charlie." Ignacio had brought a can of gasoline with him to the McCormick residence. He poured gasoline on Manuelita and over the exit from the bedroom. He also placed a delayed ignition device on a pile of clothes at the foot of baby Charlie's bed. On his way out of the house, he told the children not to leave until the fire department arrived. Then he ignited the gasoline and departed. When Bernice smelled the smoke, she rose from the bed where she lay, gathered baby Charlie and Patricia, and helped them out of the house. Bernice and baby Charlie struggled to a neighbor's house, and Patricia collapsed on the sidewalk, and she was very, very close to death. The fire engulfed the living room before firefighters arrived and put it out. Manuelita's body had been badly charged, and the pathologist found stab wounds in her neck, and judging from the pool of blood discovered under her body, deduced that she had been stabbed in the chest. Her chest was too burned to find any stab wounds, however. Although he found the cause of death to be stabbing, the pathologist testified that Manuelita may have been alive when the fire started. The following day, Ignacio was arrested and jailed. While awaiting trial on the charges relating to the events of December 21st, he moved in with another prisoner named Jose Alvarez. Alvarez was in jail pending a trial on numerous robbery charges and had a history of drug abuse. He had also tried to escape from jail, and during this attempt, he severely injured his knee. Several weeks after they were put together, Alvarez was taken into the hospital for knee surgery. When Alvarez got to the hospital, he contacted the Pima County Attorney's Office. He told them that Ignacio had offered him $10,000 to kill the 3 children, their father, their father's girlfriend, and Manuelita's sister with whom the children were staying. Alvarez was supposed to escape from the hospital and commit the murders. Alvarez also said that Ignacio had confessed in detail to the murder of his comadre, or his close female friend. Alvarez agreed to help the county attorney's office with further investigation. He did implicate Ignacio's wife in the conspiracy and also made a telephone call taped by the investigators to Ignacio at the jail. Subsequently, Ignacio and his wife were indicted for conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The county attorney's office made a plea offer to Alvarez on the robbery charges in return for his testimony under immunity against Ignacio. Alvarez accepted. Ignacio's wife, Mary, was charged with conspiracy and with conspiracy to murder, but the charges were eventually dropped. Later on, Mary would testify against Ignacio, saying that he beat her numerous times, pointed a gun at her, and cheated on her with Manuelita McCormick. The evidence was overwhelming, and on October 15th, 1979, Ignacio Ortiz was sentenced to death. His last meal was 2 fried eggs, hot sauce, 4 strips of bacon, sirloin steak, French fries, ketchup, vanilla ice cream, milk, and a cup of hot coffee. Ignacio's last words were, "Jesus Christ is the Lord, Heavenly Father, into your hands I commend my spirit, thank you." He then repeated it in Spanish. Ignacio Alberto Ortiz was executed on October 27th, 1999 at 3:05 p.m. I personally was really happy with this last meal. I mean, who doesn't love like a good steak and bacon and all of that stuff? And then if you guys have been here for a while, I always tend to deduct points if they don't have a dessert, but at least he had a bowl of ice cream, so that's fair. I would say a 7 out of 10 would be good for this one. For this episode, I feel like I have so many more questions than I have answered. Like I said, it's a thing that will drive me crazy and why I tend to cover death row meals, because there's not an excess amount of questions to be asked at the end. I think it's just lacking a lot of details. I would like to know what Ignacio's home life was like, what his childhood was like. How did he meet his wife? How did he meet the McCormicks? There's just a lot of holes missing, or even where he was born. I just wish that there was more information about the background. And then to make things worse, I could not find any information on why the wife specifically was indicted for conspiracy to commit murder. What did she know? What evidence did they find? I couldn't find what was said on the phone call or what was said in letters to each other. I just wish that I knew more, because clearly she knew a lot more than she was leading on originally. I know I won't get the answer to my questions, but either way, I hope that the children are doing okay. It sounds like it was very traumatic, and it's amazing that Bernice was able to rescue her siblings the way that she did. So I wish them all the peace and happiness in the world, and I hope they're doing well. Anyways, thanks for listening to another episode of Meals to Unalive For. Please like, subscribe, share all of that good stuff, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.